Good evening, my friend. Welcome to Let's Talk on a new night, not permanently, but thank you so much for joining me on the first of what is going to be a continuing series of single topic conversations about everything in the Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars universe. Tonight, we're going to talk about the brand new Behind the Attraction show on Disney Plus, which debuted this week. If you haven't seen it yet, if you haven't even seen a trailer, take a look.
Get ready for the ride of a lifetime.
Yes! 360 immersion.
Not technically, but that's the spirit. Discover the true stories behind Disney's most iconic and beloved attractions across the globe.
That could be interesting.
Well, we could do better than interesting.
I was in awe. I was amazed.
There we go. Exactly what we'd expect from executive producers Dwayne Johnson, Danny Garcia, and Brian Volk-Weiss, right?
Right?
Right.
All right.
So hold on tight for a ride so amazing it inspired a movie with this guy.
The backside of water.
That's right. Jungle jokes.
It's exciting and it's tantalizing in a way. You don't know what's around the corner.
You'll get a copy of the Spiel script, and that's kind of like a menu.
Ooh, delicious puns.
I love a good pun.
A small world with a tiny problem.
At first, they were going to sing their own national anthem.
It's just noise.
Cropped castles.
People are surprised that it's only 70 feet tall.
No! Yes!
Yeah.
And what in the galaxy far, far away is that?
We refer to it as the Darth Vader Ballet.
This is the kind of making of dreams are made of.
This is what makes it so authentic to me.
It's like nothing else you've ever seen.
And so much more that won't fit in this trailer, so here's a montage. Okay, that's it. Behind the Attraction. Streaming July 21st. Oh, wait, I thought we were done. Oh, right. The logo animation.
Well, if you haven't seen Behind the Attraction on Disney Plus yet, that gives you more than just a little bit of a trailer, but really a sneak peek as to what to expect in a series that is very different than anything we've seen before. I will share my thoughts, my reviews on the series that I've had a chance to watch many of the episodes of already. I'm also going to share with you my one-on-one interview with executive producer Brian Volk-Weiss, where we talk a little bit about the genesis of the show, the making of the show, some of the opportunities, some of the challenges, some of the people involved in as well. I'll share that with you in just a little bit. And then, of course, if you've seen any or all of the first 5 episodes that have been released on Disney Plus, I would love to hear your thoughts. I want this to be a conversation, not a presentation, just like every live show is. And, you know, the when I first heard about this coming out, I wondered how it was going to be similar to or different from the Imagineering story, which I think remains some of the best content that Disney has put out on the platform as a whole. I was very, very pleasantly surprised, spoiler alert, at what I found out, not just in terms of content, but when you hear things like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is one of the executive producers, you wonder what and how that involvement happens. Don't worry, I ask Brian all about that as well. But what I love about it is, unlike the Imagineering story, which is a little bit more of a deeper, hardcore Disney nerd look at the very early beginnings of Imagineering, sort of going up to today, this show also goes back from the 50s to today, hits classic attractions like I almost called it the Jungle Book, the Jungle Cruise, It's a Small World, but also touches on things like Galaxy's Edge. It visits some of the parks internationally as well. The first 5 episodes that have dropped so far include the Jungle Cruise, timing being everything, The Rock, Jungle Cruise movie, The Haunted Mansion, Star Tours, Twilight Zone, Tower of Terror, and its other iterations, as well as Space Mountain and its iterations as well. The other 5 episodes that are going to be dropping include the castles of the Disney parks, the Disneyland Hotel, which is fascinating, It's a Small World, trains, trams, and monorails, as well as the Hall of Presidents. And you're like, Hall of Presidents? Don't say it's a nap attraction, because it's not. And I actually found it to be one of the most interesting and fascinating and educational of all the episodes that I watched. And I want to share my full review of the show. I want to hear your thoughts on any that you may have seen as well. But I do want to first maybe share to sort of help set the stage for you. I want to share with you, I had an opportunity to interview the co-executive producer, Brian Volk-Weiss, alongside the Rock, Mr. Johnson, Dwayne, call him what you will. You may not necessarily know Brian Volk-Weiss's name. I actually was familiar with it before because he directed and produced such things as Down to Earth with Zac Efron, not from that one, but The Movies That Made Us, The Toys That Made Us, and A Toy Store Near You. He also did Center Seat, which is 55 years of Star Trek for the History Channel. So I'm going to play, it's about 9 minutes or so. I'm going to play my conversation with Brian Volk-Weiss, and then I'm going to get into my thoughts, my review, as well as yours as well. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Great. Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good. How you doing, man?
Good. Thank you. Listen, I want to start off right off the bat and say that, and binge is the wrong word. I have literally savored every moment of as many episodes as I could in a short period of time and I'm not just saying this to you. I think that this show is one of, if not the best overall, most accessible show in terms of the spectrum of interest it's going to touch and fun and documentary information on Disney Plus, period.
You are way too kind, but I'll take it and thank you.
Take it and enjoy it because I'm sure it's not going to be the last time you hear it. But like every good story, I want to go back to the beginning very quickly. Can you talk just briefly about how long this show was in development and where did not only the concept begin, but talk about Dwayne Johnson's involvement, not just in conceptualizing the show, but his involvement throughout, because I have to imagine it was more than just him attaching his name to the project alone.
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked. I guess about 3 years ago, I'm at LAX at 5 a.m. and I'm going through security and I get a text from the head of my accounting department, Daisy Barajas. And it was very scary to me that someone in her position is texting me at 5 a.m. I was like, does someone take all our money? Like, why is she texting me at 5 a.m? I have to wait until I get through security before I can look at the text. And the text was, she had screenshotted Dwayne's Instagram and he had liked another show we do called The Toys That Made Us. And I guess she didn't think I was cool enough to follow The Rock. So that's how it all began. I swear to God, 2 days later, I got a phone call from a guy named Brian Gewirtz, who's one of the EPs on the show. And Brian was like, hey, we love Toys That Made Us. We want to do something together. So I met with him. We developed a show that, within reason, could not be more different than Behind the Attraction. We pitched Disney Plus, and the executive said, I love this show. It's not for us. But would you ever do a show about the attractions? And we were like, is the Pope Catholic? He confirmed that the Pope is Catholic. And then we didn't really have a development process. We created a brand new deck. That took 2 or 3 weeks. We took another meeting and they bought the show. That's how it got going.
Well, and you just quickly mentioned The Toys That Made Us. I'm a huge fan. It hit me in all of my very nostalgic, sentimental feels. And to a certain degree, it's not very different because I think when viewers and subscribers to Disney Plus see this pop up, they're going to start to think about how this might differ or be similar to another show, The Imagineering Story, which I'm sure you've heard sort of the comparisons over and over again. But I think, like Mary Poppins, you have been able to inject a wonderful element of fun here. So can you talk about the tone of the series, from the design element to the very witty yet not cheesy narration, and this wonderful marriage of entertainment, information, and emotion?
Yeah, I mean, I have a comedy background. So any company that ever hires us to make something knows probably going to be some comedy. So what we tried to do versus the Imagineering story, the Imagineering story was very wide and deep. We tried to be very narrow. We had a sign in every office that was a part of the show that said, "It's about the attractions!" ! Because in the early days, we found ourselves very easily meandering into stuff about the parks or about Imagineering. One of the greatest interviews of my life was with Bob Weiss. And, he was, I'd like to do an episode just on Bob Weiss, for example. But we couldn't use all of it, to put it mildly, but we had to find a way to take the gold he was giving us without it becoming this overbearing, we love Bob Weiss and this is genius. We just had to find a way to keep it focused on the attractions and not go in a million directions, because it would have been easy to do that.
Sure, especially when you have so many amazing talents, both early Imagineers as well as current Imagineers. But you have a quote that you said, "Attractions are like icebergs," which I love. Can you please explain that a little bit, and more importantly, how it applies to this series? Because I think this series, like an attraction, has so many layers of depth to the stories that are being told.
Yeah, what I mean by that is, just like with an iceberg, you only see the top 10%. The access that we had allowed us to see everything. And I think that if the public sees how much love goes into every ride to keep them safe, to have it be fun, and to have that full immersion, people wouldn't even believe it. We show a lot of it compared to what's been shown before. But we haven't even scratched the surface in the show. We did a third shift tour of Anaheim, and my jaw was on the floor for 8 hours. It was nuts. So that's what we tried to show, hopefully.
And you absolutely do. And I think one of the things that a great story does, and that this series is going to certainly do, is that when the series is over and they hit stop on their device, there's going to be so many different takeaways from it. One of the things I think people are going to take away is a sense of, when we hear a beloved attraction is going down and maybe something new is coming, it helps to instill this trust that Imagineering has earned. What's the other one thing that you want people to take away from the series?
I really hope, I hope it's not bad that I'm saying this. I just read so often people complaining about the prices and how much things cost. If they knew what goes into making these parks work. By the way, that was my big takeaway after I did that third shift tour. My takeaway was, how does this place even make money? The level, and it's so funny. The cliche thing I could tell you is they sweat all the details, and they make sure everything is clean, and they make sure that the seven dwarfs have the perfect green and the perfect red hat. But this is what you don't see. We were on Space Mountain at 1 a.m, not riding it, but we were behind the scenes at 1 a.m. at Space Mountain. There are 12 people whose full-time job, all they do, they don't go to other attractions. Their full-time job is making sure that attraction is safe for the next day. So take that, how many attractions are at each park, times X park, that's a lot of people just to make sure it's safe, let alone clean, let alone immersion. So what I always say is all you have to do is go to another park and you see the level of detail that you can see, but that doesn't even take you really behind all the stuff I'm talking about there.
Yeah.
So that's, again, that's what we tried to show, and I hope we can convey.
You very much accomplished that. Everything speaks in Disney Park. Everything speaks in this series. And I only wish and hope that there will be 100 more seasons that will come to follow. Thank you again so much for your time today and everything that you did to create and bring this series to life.
I just knocked on wood.
So did I. Thank you.
Thanks. Take it easy, Lou.
You too. I am. I'm still muted. That's so awesome when I do that. This is what happens when you do the show all by yourself and you're not properly caffeinated and you've got so many windows open that you can't see. So forget everything that you tried to hear me say because I didn't say it. So I'm going to start all over again. I apologize for that. I had my microphone muted and the window covered. I'm going to quickly sort of recap. It's as if I've never done this before. It's as if I've never done. This is why I love, even with things like this is why I love live video. Plus, I didn't have my glasses on, so I couldn't see the comments telling me that you couldn't hear. That's all right. Hopefully, you've continued to stick by. This is me. I'm Lou, and I make mistakes. That was one of them. I'm sure more to come. Sit back, relax. There's more mistakes on their way. All right. Let me do this. The only thing I wish I would have had with Brian was more time because I had so many more questions, so much more that I wanted to discuss with him. What I do want to say on the outset is that when this show was first announced, I very much questioned how different this was going to be than the Imagineering story, which I continue to feel is some of the best content that has been on Disney Plus, some of the best content that's been created about the history of the Disney parks, the Disney attractions, as well as the people who literally helped to create that magic. I can't believe I was on mute for that long. It doesn't matter. Keep moving forward. Anyway, even when I first started watching the first episode of the Imagineering story, and it was this very sort of light, very sort of quick and quippy animation, I said, all right, this is going to be a show very different than Imagineering story. It's obviously probably geared for maybe a younger audience, a younger generation, maybe not the hardcore Disney parks enthusiast that is, wants to sort of dig into the depth that Imagineering story did. But I was very quickly and pleasantly surprised. And I remember watching the first episode, and as I don't watch a lot of TV, so when I did, I had my laptop on my lap, which is where laptops belong, going to take notes, but also working on some other stuff. And it didn't take more than just a couple of minutes for me to put the laptop to the side, because I found myself not only completely engaged in what was going on, but I also found myself like smiling and laughing and pleasantly surprised at seeing some of not just the Imagineers and some of the artists from early Disneyland history, but even some of the more contemporary ones, as well as people from outside the company as well. And I thought the show was very fun. It was very funny. It was very fast paced, right? The delivery and the tone, like I said to Brian, is very, very different than Imagineering story. This feels like something that is a lot more modern. If you've seen the toys that made us, the toys that made us, movies that made us, things like that, it does have a much more contemporary type tone. But in the same regard, it's also very irreverent, while still being in a very respectful way. There were a few times, including one that I paused and I went back. I'm like, did they just say that? Did somebody forget to edit this out? Because it is somewhat almost self-deprecating at times. And I love the fact that not only is this something that you normally don't see, but you see that the show's tone is much more lighthearted. And there will be times you say, wait, did they allow this thing to be in there? And I love the fact that it does have that very much lighter feel to it, while still being mixed with great information and interviews with Imagineers and artists. There's archival footage that I have never seen before. I consider myself somewhat of a Disney parks nerd. And seeing people like Thurl Ravenscroft and Bill Evans and Harper Goff and the late Ron Dominguez, Tony Baxter, Pee Wee Herman. Yeah, Pee Wee Herman, Kim Irvine, Bob Weiss, Scott Trowbridge, a lot of the newer generations of Imagineers mixed in, and the blending of the new and the old, as well as people from outside the company. This was one of the biggest surprises for me. Seeing people, like I've known Bill Cotter from like when I very first started writing my book. He is a Disney historian that does not work for the company. Todd James Pierce has written a number of books and does a podcast about Disney. I love the fact that they reached outside the company for other visions and voices in terms of the retelling of Disney history. So you don't ever feel at all like it's the farthest thing from a marketing piece, right? Okay, there's a little bit of Jungle Cruise in there because timing is everything. And oh, by the way, The Rock. But I love the fact that, like I said to Brian, there's a lot of fun that is blended into this. And I don't normally like it. I'm not, surprise, I'm not a TikTok guy. The very fast-paced, quick cuts, I love. I don't know her other work. I absolutely love the narration. It kept me interested and focused and laughing the entire time through. The only thing is that when the 45 to 50-minute show ended, I just wanted more, because I just found myself enjoying it so very much. Imagining story was very touching on an emotional level. There were times that, and I know I'm not alone, don't lie, we found ourselves getting choked up, maybe even shedding a tear, because it very much tugged on the heartstrings. This touched on our emotions in a different way. It was fun, and it was funny, and it was light, while still being interesting. You were able to, there's an edutainment aspect of this, because you were able to learn a lot while still very much enjoying yourself. And because of the fast pace, it had this wonderful marriage and blending of entertainment, information, and emotional as well, that I think balances for the first time park goer and the hardcore Disney file that thinks that they have seen and done it all. I can imagine the challenge of trying to narrow it down to these first 10 attractions, and 10 is a bit of a misnomer, because you'll see in conversations about Tower of Terror, of course, they're going to talk about Guardians. When they talk about Space Mountain, it's not just Space Mountain and Walt Disney World and Disneyland, but they cover the international parks. They talk about the genesis of the Tron roller coaster, not just in Shanghai, but a sneak peek at what is coming to Walt Disney World. I guarantee you will see things in this show that you have not seen anywhere else before. I also, there were some episodes that I looked at the titles and I said, this is an interesting choice. How deep are you going to go into trains and trams? How is the Hall of Presidents, which I think brings with it its own set of very interesting challenges? It's the one that it was number 10, and it's the one that I just happened to save for last. And it was one of the ones that I found most interesting and most fascinating, and one that I want to actually go back and watch again. Because, lest we forget, Hall of Presidents was an e-ticket attraction. And while, recent times may bring with it, it's, again, a different set of challenges for the topic at hand, I think it was really, really, really well done. And as I said to Brian, what I think this show does too is when we hear an attraction is about to close, seeing the process and understanding that they are fans first and how they get from ideation to execution is an amazing journey. And some of the things that are paramount to them are paramount to us too. And which is why I personally have, and I think have had reinforced by this show, the level of trust that I do. I do want to certainly hear your thoughts on here as well. I know some people actually were very excited about the trains episode. It's actually very, very good. And they tell some really funny stories, not just about ones maybe that you've heard before, but the fact that they have footage from the archives and they had access to things that we've never seen before really gave it, again, there's an edge to the show that I don't think, well, I know from seeing things in the past, we would not have gotten had this been produced by Disney. Again, I think there's a wonderful comparison that has to be made to the Imagineering story, and the two can very much coexist and talk about the same topic, but approach them in very different ways, both of which that I think not just serve a purpose, but serve an audience as well. Some of you are confused. Is today Wednesday? No, this is not Wednesday. Don't be confused. This is part of what I have been talking about in terms of new, I don't know how, I don't have it here. In terms of new segments that I said I was going to be sharing on the show, which is not just the Let's Talk Live, but wait for it. Hold on. There it is. But Let's Walk, and I'll get into this a little bit more, but this is why notifications are so important, so you don't miss when we do these type of single topic conversations, as well as Let's Walk and Talk, as I take you with me on some tours and just sort of walking through the Disney parks and some other locations I have planned as well. All right, so back to your comments. Yeah, a lot of you like, wait, this isn't Wednesday. Laura said, yeah, it took me a minute to adjust to the quick cuts and humor, but then I was hooked. I was the same way, and that's why I was like, is this me? Like, do I just love this stuff so much and so desperate for content, which I think we all are as Disney enthusiasts, that I just, because I didn't come in expecting to love it. I didn't. Like, the first few seconds, I'm like, oh, this is meant for a younger, hipper, more casual audience. But when I say that I binge watched, like, I stayed up super late and got through as many of the episodes as I could. I've had a chance to see all of them except one. I was not able to get to screen one of them, but I really think this is a series that I hope gets picked up for next year, and because obviously there's a lot more attractions to hit, and And again, this different way to approach it. I really, really liked the humor that I didn't find corny or cheesy or patronizing at all. Sue Passauer says, I think I'd watch the episodes over and over again and never get bored. That's what I did yesterday. I had seen Space Mountain. My son came downstairs and said, hey, let's watch something. He said, put on the Imagineering story. I said, pick an episode. Which one is it that you wanted to watch? And he picked Space Mountain. And I sat there and watched along with him again because I picked up things that I hadn't earlier. And again, I really like the fact that this is something that families can enjoy together. I think an episode about the different parades would be on Mega. That's a really good idea. I'd love to see a history of the parades in the parks, not just in Walt Disney World and Disneyland, but in the international parks where they are done very, very, very well as well. So Mark says, the first time I watch the main action, then I go back and pay attention to the backgrounds and things off to the side. It's like watching a Marvel movie, right? You watch for the story first, and then you go back, and then you want to pick up all the details and the Easter eggs and some of the cool things that are literally hiding in plain sight. Marie said she loved the humor as well. Jason also says, this is the type of content that makes the experience in the parks so much more enriching and fun. And I think too, Jason, it provides you with easily accessible, fun trivia and information that when you take friends and family to the parks, you are able to pay forward to them as well. Would love to see an episode on the different Pirates rides. Considering having seen Shanghai Pirates, I agree with you 110%. Marie says, as if you couldn't love The Rock anymore, he continues to deliver. And I love the fact, and I mentioned this to Brian, that he was not just a name attached to an executive producer title card, but as somebody who was very much involved with the creation of the show and remains involved with the creation. If you see, if you're seeing any of the press stuff, I was actually on something today, a press conference for the Jungle Cruise. When you hear The Rock talk about that attraction, he's not spewing marketing messages that were fed to him by a publicist. He's lived it. He loves it. Like, he very much digs the Disney park. So you can see this was very much something that was a passion project for him as well. Billy says, I love seeing the surroundings of everyone they interview. So Billy, I'm like you. When they interview Tony Baxter, I'm looking in Tony Baxter's house. When you're seeing some of the archival footage, whether it's Walt or some of the early Imagineers, I'm trying to see where they are and see if it's places maybe that I have seen. Again, Adrienne says, I loved getting to see how the Haunted Mansion was designed slightly differently in each of the parks. Really interesting stuff, right? Because some things here don't translate well internationally. I would love to see a full episode on Mystic Manor. And if you happen to notice in the Jungle Cruise episodes, you may or may not have seen more than one segment that included Kevin Lively, who was my guest just a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. When we first had talked, I didn't even know that he was going to be in this, and then he would drop me a couple of messages here and there and say, you might want to pay attention to the Jungle Cruise. And he's great. I like him a lot. He's very smart. He's very creative. And like everybody that we saw was very, very passionate as well. Ashley says, it's fun to be able to share fun facts with the family when you go to the parks. Helps plant the seeds for the next generation, without a doubt. Without a doubt. So Caleb says, I want an episode about Galaxy Search at Walt Disney World's Tomorrowland. Yeah, the talent competition that was there probably, gosh, what was it, 93, 94, maybe 92, somewhere around there. As if on cue, there he is, Kevin Lively. Kevin, it was super cool not only to see the Jungle Cruise episode, but to see you scattered here and there throughout. And I just kept on standing up screaming, I know that guy. I mean, I've never met him, but I feel like I know that guy. So kudos to you on what, again, I have nothing but good things to say about this, from the topics that were chosen, the attractions that were chosen, to the archival footage to the current Imagineering team, and again, even people outside the company that were brought in. I think it was very, very smart, very fun, very funny. And like I say, it's super accessible. And what I mean by that is Imagineering story is very emotional. And if you're a Disney, Disney Parks fan, it's a great watch, right? Not once, not twice, but over and over again. But it might not interest every single person who is a casual Parks fan. That is what I think this show does. Is it helps to bridge. I think this might be sort of that gateway content to Imagineering story. If you are somebody who is just starting to get into and sort of express a deeper interest and love and passion for, the why and the how of the attractions, not just the current enjoyment of them, I think this is that great gateway content to get you into the Imagineering story and start to dig a little bit deeper as well. I see a lot of comments about restaurants, the Disney restaurant show hosted by Lou Mangello. It's sort of what the podcast is now. I scatter in a little bit of other content here and there just to break it up a little bit, but it is sort of that same thing. And Sharon says, Kevin Lively, love the interviews. Would love to have seen you as a skipper. I would too. I would pay good money, relatively. I would pay decent. I would Venmo a few dollars to have Kevin Lively as my Jungle Cruise skipper. So, and Marie, you're right. The fact that they are not just, and what I like too is that not just focusing on the Imagineers, some whose names you know, some whose names maybe you're not familiar with, but there are so many other current cast members that are continuing to make the magic and continuing to carry on the legacy, to share their thoughts and their guest interactions and their stories as well. So that's what I mean. It really, there's this wonderful sort of common thread that binds, the pre-opening of Disneyland to today in the Disney parks around the world. And I think that was a really wonderful, man, the thing I would love to see is all the stuff that didn't end up in the show. Where's all the stuff that's on the cutting room floor? Not the outtakes, but some of the other great content that they just probably didn't have time to include in there. Tina, I asked a few times, both. I interviewed a couple of Imagineers as well, but I really wanted to share Brian's conversation with you. I did ask them all about a season 2, and it really seems to be more of a fingers crossed, wait and see. It's why it's so important that you not just watch, but you express your interest and your gratitude and your excitement for the show, because that's how a season 2 gets greenlit. So while this is somewhat self-serving, even doing things like sharing this conversation out after we're done with other people, helping to turn them on to the Imagineering story, into behind the attractions as well as the Imagineering story, is what is going to help get that second season and hopefully even more greenlit. Kevin Lively, Katie, is a celebrity. He's kind of a rock star. And if you don't believe me, I've got a Kevin Lively shrine really growing by leaps and bounds out in the corner of the room. But wait, there's more. There's more. Because, and the other day I did something that I've never done before, which is an unboxing video. I wanted to try my hand, as long as we're doing more live content. Again, just sort of a reminder, the importance of turning on notifications is that, like tonight's show, I'm going to be doing more of these single topic conversations. It could be about breaking news. It could be a review of a movie, something on Disney Plus, anything under the sun, where we'll sort of have these kind of conversations, as well as some walk and talks through the parks and cruise lines. So be sure and go not just to the WDW Radio page, but the WDW Radio Clubhouse, and turn on notifications and see first and see all. And however Facebook has it set up now, there's instructions and a quick little video pinned to the top of the WDW Radio page on Facebook showing you exactly how to do it. But what I did do the other day was I did receive this oh so very heavy yet unmarked box from Disney Plus. And I thought it would be fun to open it with you live, and I did. But in case you missed it, I'm going to do it again, because what's in the box? What is in the box is, unlike the end of Pulp Fiction, I'm actually going to show you. There is this very cool Day at Disneyland commemorative ticket, which has some information about the Behind the Attraction show on the back. Very cool, suitable for framing. There's also a Behind the Attraction poster. Attraction. There's also a lot of stuffing. There's not one, but two crisped rice treats are the official name. They are crisped rice treats. I love the fact that Disney Plus, you know me so well. You send snacks because you can't watch without snacks. There's also a very cool poster pin, which I believe is not sold in stores. I'm going to go out on a limb and say not sold in stores because it makes it even more exciting. There's also some Mickey lollipops. And wait, I'll open this up. There's not one, not two, but three different Behind the Attraction themed and scented candles. It smells so nice in here. There's an It's a Small World, Disney Castles, and Jungle Cruise, which does not smell like, well, maybe it does smell like the backside of water. It sort of does. It's not as briny or as murky, but there are three very nice in glass vessels, Behind the Attraction candles. And all the way down here, in the bottom of the box, is a sealed copy, by the way, of the Maps of the Disney Parks book. And if you don't have this in your collection, get one. And actually, I'm going to help you get one because I'm putting everything back in the box, because I don't like to ever show anything that I have that you can't get to. So if I get invited to an event, I don't like to be like, oh, look where I am. Here's this thing that I'm doing. It makes me feel really weird. Same thing with prizes like this. And the reason why I'm showing it to you is because I want to give it to you. Now, I only have one. And this is something that's a little bit difficult to share. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a giveaway on Instagram this week, possibly as early as tomorrow. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, I'm at instagram.com/LouMongello. You don't have to answer any difficult or nerdy trivia questions. You don't have to do anything. Very, very simple to enter and win. And I will send this entire, it's probably going to cost me like $100 to ship this thing because it's super, super heavy. But I will send the entire box to one lucky member of the WDW Radio community and clubhouse. So stay tuned. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, get one. Again, Instagram.com/LouMongello. So let me go and Chuck, I'm not going to break up the set. I think this set is best enjoyed. You get this set home, you light a little candle, you have some snacks, you crack open the book, and then turn on the next episode of the Behind the Attraction series. Mary, I agree. I hate to give it away, but I don't hate to give it away because I believe in sharing the love and sharing the benefits of some of the stuff that I get to do. So a lot of you seem to have the book, love the book, although Tina says you had me at crisped rice. They're Rice Krispies. crisp rice treats. So yeah, I know some people like the pins, some people like the posters. Once you get it, you can do with it what you like. But again, these are things that you can buy the book obviously and the snacks, but those candles are not for sale. The pin's not for sale. You can't get the poster or the recreation of the thing. So it's something very cool, very special. I am grateful to Disney Plus for sending that out to me. But stay tuned to my Instagram this week, and I will share it out there. So, any other thoughts on the Behind the Attraction series? Whether episodes you've seen, ones you're looking forward to, episodes that you'd like to see. What attractions would you like to see covered on upcoming, on hopefully an upcoming season 2? Again, I know nothing, but it's just wishful thinking. Because remember, I'm a fan first. I always will be. It's why I do this, because I love this all so very much. So, and whoever wins it, I expect to see like pictures and videos. I want to see you by yourself, you and your family, you and your friends gathering around the TV, firing up Disney Plus and checking out Behind the Attraction. Are the rest coming out this week? Laura, I don't know exactly what. I believe it's going to be on a weekly release schedule, but I am not 100% sure. Tina, I would very much, and I actually mentioned this to one of the Imagineers, or maybe it was to Brian after we had stopped recording, that a deep look at the SCA, and if somebody could take a quick look for me, we did do a podcast all about the history and the members and the story of the SCA. I want to say it's like episode 604, 624, somewhere around there. It's one that I would like to see too. Spaceship Earth is a great episode as well. Radiator Springs Racers, Test Track, Indiana Jones. I'd love to see one on Indiana Jones, although you do see a little bit about that in one of those. Carousel of Progress, Megan Kirsch is a great example. Mike, they do talk about Tron in the Space Mountain episode. So I'm not sure if the Space Mountain episode has been released as yet, but you do see that. Pirate, Heather, I would assume is going to happen. And Melanie, in the trains, trams, and monorails, they very much talk about Walt and the history. There's a lot of great footage of Walt and Lillian and his family, some of the early Imagineers at Walt's house, building and riding and playing on. They talk about falling off, but I don't actually show it. The Carrollwood Pacific Railroad at his house and how that led to. So Amanda says episode 579. Every time I keep writing things like episode, 6 something, I still can't believe. I think, what are we, 642? I still can't believe I'm getting up to 650 episodes, which is really more like 700 something. I got a note from Apple today. It was like, I think I'm at 7. I have 774 shows, because there were some newscasts and some bonus episodes in there as well, posted since we started. So Big Thunder Mountain is also mentioned briefly in there. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Mr. Toad. Sue, you're going to love the Haunted Mansion episode. The Haunted Mansion is so good. And you'll see, and I don't remember which episode what is, you'll really see and get a sense of just how emotionally vested these men and women are into these attractions. This is not a job for them. To see someone visibly weep and have to pause because he's talking about why it's Space Mountain, why is Space Mountain attraction mean so much to him, not only helps to continue to humanize it, but makes you understand just how much these people really do love what they do and why they actually go ahead and do it. Bob Gurr, Mark Jones, you will see Bob Gurr being Bob Gurr in the Trams, Trains, and Monorail episode. There's some vintage Bob Gurr. There's some current Bob Gurr. They could just do an entire show all about Bob Gurr as well. So let's see. Let me go back. Julie Voris, you always know how to put a smile on my face, by the way. The attractions are like the Imagineers' children. They create them and watch them grow and develop. It's the passion that they have for their jobs. And it comes through. And it's part of the reason why I like this. It's part of the reason why I like the fact that they have current Imagineers, current frontline cast members talking about this, because it really does help that come through, and it helps to connect them and us and our common love for these attractions and the stories that are told to help bring them to life. So that's it. That is our look at the Behind the Attraction series, which is airing now on Disney Plus. The first 5 episodes are available. I do believe they will come out every week going forward. Forgive me, they don't have the exact release date. I'm going to post. I'd love for you to do a couple things. One, I'd love for you to share this out. I'd love to share in the comments, even after this is over, some attractions that you would like to see covered on, hopefully, a season 2 of Behind the Attraction. And again, I ask you to share it, not just to help bring more people into the clubhouse and the community, but also to help make sure that we get the gift of a second and third and continuing on seasons of Behind the Attractions, because I love it so very much. Again, thank you for being here on a Monday night. It is not Wednesday. Please make sure you turn on notifications on the WDW Radio page on Facebook, as well as in the WDW Radio Clubhouse. I'm going to be doing more Let's Talk segments like this, where we'll talk maybe about, the Jungle Cruise in a couple days. Maybe we'll talk about some breaking Disney news. We'll talk about what's coming on the 50th. I'm still going to continue to do the Wednesday night live shows with Top 5 Lives, Disney Plus Pick of the Weeks, discussions about this week's podcast. But I'm also going to do some mobile, where I go into a Disney park and maybe we ride a single attraction. Maybe we just walk through Adventureland, or I just want some company. I want to take you to Food and Wine Festival with me. You don't know when or where it's going to be. Sometimes I'll let you know. Sometimes it'll just be a surprise episode. And that's why it's really important that you turn on notifications. More importantly, that you please help spread the word. Let others know, not just inside the clubhouse, but if you have friends who are Disney enthusiasts or love Marvel or Star Wars, we're going to cover all those things. And if there's something that you want to talk about, a topic for a Let's Talk episode, if there's some place that you want me to go, something that you want to see, say, Lou, you know what? I just need a fix. I need you to take me with you on It's a Small World. We'll do that too. We will definitely do that as well. So we'll put maybe a topic suggestion box in the clubhouse, and you could let me know. And again, I'm not in the parks every day, and some nights and days that are crazy, but I might go live in an evening. I might go live in an afternoon, and maybe bring you a little bit of a Disney distraction during the middle of the day to help brighten your day. So again, please turn on notifications. Please, even when this is over, share this out as well. Also, please don't forget that in addition to all the stuff we do together online, I'd love to see you together in person. We've got our Marvel Day at Sea cruise, February 2022. We've got our inaugural cruise on the Disney Wish, June of 2022, as well as our very merry time cruise on December 5th. If you go to www.radio.com/DisneyWish 2022, you can find out more and get a free, no obligation quote. Also, be sure and save the date, November 13th and 14th. My Momentum Weekend Workshop is coming back to Walt Disney World. I will have details coming very, 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 very soon, including tickets and hotel bookings as well. That is going to do it for, I guess, is really sort of is technically my first official Let's Talk show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, email me, post in the clubhouse, and by all means, please let me know. Also, don't forget to join the spoiler support group at www.radio.com/spoilers. Check out this week's show for our look at 10 things that you never knew. I guarantee there's going to be at least 3 things that you never knew about Kilimanjaro Safari in Disney's Animal Kingdom. Also, wait, where is it? Oh, I can't find it. Clearly, I was not ready for Please make sure you choose the good, not just in what you do, but that you be the good for others as well. And join the community over at wdwradio.com/community. Join the clubhouse there. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. Go enjoy Behind the Attractions and stay tuned to Instagram this week for the giveaway for the Behind the Attraction box courtesy of Disney Plus. I love and appreciate you. See ya.